Hi, everyone. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. I'm here for the Not Too Shabby Shop, and I have their beautiful stamp set called Bouquet of Happiness that I'm going to be playing with in this video. I'm also going to be using some Arches hot press watercolor paper. This paper is lovely and smooth, and I'm going to be doing a bit of watercoloring. I haven't pulled out my Daniel Smith watercolors in quite some time. So let's start out by inking up this beautiful bouquet of begonias. I'm also going to stamp out the two smaller buds. When I'm done with my painting, I'm going to fussy cut these out so it doesn't matter with the placement on this paper. So I'll pick them up with the door of the Misty. And then I can treat my paper with some anti-static powder. This is an embossing bag, and I just hold it by using a clothespin. I don't like touching it and getting my hands all powdery and dry. And then I'm going to use some Versamark ink. This is a clear, sticky ink, and I do stamp it out a few times, but I'm only going to show you one stamping. This is such a large stamp that you almost have to stamp it a few times, especially when it's brand new like this. I have a piece of scrap paper that I'm going to use to catch the embossing powder. I'm using Simon Says Stamps Antique Gold. I love this stuff. I've had it for a long time. It's the one I grab for the most when I want a gold embossing powder. And then I can just pour it over my images and then gently tap off the excess. I do like to let my heat tool warm up for about a minute before I bring it to the paper. Then I just move slowly so that I don't get too much warpage. But it just melts into this gorgeous gold color. And if you want to do fast watercoloring, embossing your image is a great way to go. It builds little wells around all of the segments of your image so they don't bleed into each other. I'm going to start with a flat wash of yellow. And I'm just adding some water. I'm just using the color straight from the pan. And then I'm just going over the lines, putting down a flat wash of this yellow. These are going to be some pretty yellow flowers. And then I come in with a little bit of a darker yellow to add some shading, mostly in the nooks and crannies where the petals meet. And you just go slow and you build up layers, and it turns out really pretty. And then I'm going to come in with even a darker color and add some more shadows. On the smaller buds, I'm going to put down some pink over them. So I'm using the Pantone colors for my color palette, and I know pink isn't included, but I'm using yellow and gray. Those are the Pantone colors of 2021. And they just go beautifully together, but I just did want to add a little touch of pink. And now I can put down a flat wash of yellow on the other begonias and start building up the shadows there. Watercolors are so much fun to play with. If you haven't ever tried them, I recommend giving them a try. It is a fast way to put down color, and you can build it up as much as you want or just keep it really simple. But it's just fun seeing all of the different colors spread and feather out in the water. I'm going to add another layer of pink to the smaller begonias and just build up the color there a little bit. I'm going to use a tissue just to dab away some of this dark color. I want to preserve some highlights and some dark colors on these little buds. But here it is pretty much done. I am going to allow this to air dry. Look how pretty that gold is when it catches the light. I wanted to add a little more dimension to my painting, so I am going to pull out some colored pencils, and I've started right there. As you can see, some really dark shadows in the nooks and crannies. I'm just going to build it up a little bit more. You don't have to do this step if you don't want to. But I just couldn't help myself. I like mixed media. I love watercolors and then colored pencils on top. So I'm starting with an orangey yellow colored pencil, and I'm just putting some shading in. And then I go in with increasingly dark colors just to build up a good depth of color, or of shadows, I should say. I'm going to pull out a really dark pink colored pencil and add some shading to the pink begonias as well. I painted in 2 of these bouquet of begonias, but I don't end up using the second one, but I'll just keep that for another card. I thought I was going to use it for this card, but I don't. So I went ahead and I cut these out off camera. I fussy cut them all out, leaving a bit of a white border around them. And now to put my card together, I'm using a die from Trinity Stamps, and it cuts out all of these little squares. I love this die. This is the first time I've used it. I've had it in my stash for a while. But I'm going to use it to cut out a piece of gray cardstock. It fits right at the very edge of an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. So to preserve paper, I'm just going to tape it at the very edge with a little bit of washi tape. I'll just move this piece of washi tape down so that I can cut really close to the die. I don't have a lot of gray in my stash, so I'm trying to preserve what I have. I ran that through my Sizzix Big Shot machine, and I can't wait to show you what this die cut looks like. There it is on my tape, my mat. And it blends in really well with the mat, but it is so cute. There's so much you could do with this. So here it is. I'm also going to cut out the same die with yellow cardstock. And then I'm going to glue these together and offset them. I also have a piece of gray cardstock that's going to mat them. But I'm just going to use a little bit of Jackie's Craft Table glue and glue these down together. It's just going to have a little bit of a yellow shadow on it. I really love that effect. So I'll quickly put on just little dabs of glue and then put the gray on top. And then some of the glue did ooze out, so I'm just kind of dabbing that off with my fingers and then wiping it on my piece of scrap paper. I'm going to trim off the yellow. I just want the yellow showing within the gray die cut. And then this will fit better on my A2 sized card. The A2 sized cards I make are 3.5 by 8.5. And that's the size that fits this die really well. Okay, now let's glue this onto the piece of gray cardstock. I think that looks so pretty. I just love that effect. I really love Trinity Stamps Slimline dies. For this sentiment, I wasn't sure which one to use. There's so many cute ones in this stamp set, but I finally settled on the one that says, "You are so loved." And I'm using a scrap piece of the hot press watercolor paper and embossing this with more of the antique gold. I'll melt this, and then I do trim it down a little bit more off camera. But there it is, so pretty. I popped it up with some foam pieces, and this is going to go on the center of the card. The flowers I haven't put down yet. I'm just putting them to see where I want them to go. But I also used some foam adhesive behind this bouquet. So let's take off the backing and put this in place. Oh, I think that looks so pretty. I love this stamp set. And then the top one I don't end up using, but I am going to use more of the smaller pink begonias around this panel, as well as some Trinity Stamps bling. And here it is all finished. I'm trying to turn it so the gold embossing catches the light. And on the inside, I stamped another sentiment. I love the one that says, "When I count my blessings, I count you twice." I also stamped out some of the single begonias with some kitsch flamingo. I was so excited about this new color. I love pink. That's my favorite color. So when they announced the kitsch flamingo, I was all over that. I had to get that right away. So all of the products will be listed below, and I'll have a link to the Not Too Shabby shop. If you head over there, I have a 10% off coupon code for you. It is N2S10, and I'll have that written up in the description box below. Thanks so much for spending some of your time with me today. I hope you all have a wonderful crafty day. Bye.